Hello, BariAftercare friends. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the BariAftercare podcast. I'm really excited today because you guys probably already know our guest. And if you don't, you're going to run out and check into his situation and his story a lot more after today's episode. So, the title of our episode is Scott's Bariatric Journey Plays Out on National TV. And Scott is is on this season's episodes of TLC's Thousand Pound Best Friends. So, Scott, I want to welcome you and
Hey,
introduce you to our listeners today. We're going to give them your backstory before we get to where
awesome.
you're at now. So, you're going to be good
Yeah,
going back in time a little bit before you got to being on the show.
let's do it.
All right. So,
Let's do
first
it.
of
Let's do
all,
it.
let's just introduce you. Where are you from? Take us way back to
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah, well, I'm Scott, as everybody who's watching or listening knows. I'm Scott Bagwill. I'm 33. I'm born and raised here in just north of Atlanta in Marietta, Georgia. And that's where I currently reside in East Cobb. And just living I guess, my new life out. So, yeah.
Very cool. So, I want to hear some about your old life, and it's very cool because
Oh.
Scott is actually part of our Barry Aftercare online program too. So that makes this
Mhm.
interview even more special because I get to see and talk to Scott on a regular basis. Not to mention, we live fairly darn close to each other, and
Yeah.
we've bumped into each other on a number of occasions. So I've got to see your
Yeah.
progress live and in person. So yay.
Yeah.
So all your life in Georgia,
Yep. Yes,
public
ma'am.
school.
Yeah, so I went to public school, elementary through about seventh grade and middle school. That's when my life, I don't talk about it as much on the show, but that's when my life started taking a little bit of a turn. My dad moved away. My parents have been divorced for since I was 5, and my dad has always been in my life, always there, school events. And when I was in seventh grade here in East Cobb, he got an opportunity for an amazing job in Pensacola, Florida, and he took it. And for me, being seventh grade, being I think 12 years old, I think it was detrimental to me, and I that's when my life started spiraling a little bit. I started doing terrible in school, my behavior. So I failed seventh grade. I actually failed seventh grade and ended up going to private school the next year. Redid seventh grade at an amazing school called the Cottage School in Roswell, and went there seventh to 12th grade, and that school saved my life.
So that was a
It
private
saved
school.
it. Yep, it's a school that's geared. It's now K through 12, but it's a school that's geared towards kids with mild to moderate learning. They call it learning differences. They don't call it a disability. They call it a learning difference. It gives kids who aren't able to thrive in a normal school environment the chance to succeed and thrive. There's kids that have gone on to, I think, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Harvard, University of Tennessee. I myself went to Kennesaw State, where I graduated with 2 degrees after being told I
Nice.
could never amount to anything. So,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. That is phenomenal.
yeah.
So wait a minute. Who told you you would never amount to anything, by the way?
Oh, I had a teacher in seventh grade. I'll tell you a little story. I had a teacher in the seventh grade. Um, she just she wasn't a good teacher. She didn't believe in me. She didn't support her students well, and I got bullied. And then we'll go into it. I got bullied a lot in middle school. And one day I went up to the teacher and said, "If I'm not here tomorrow, you know what I mean." And she took that, and I meant that as I'm just going to take a day off of school. She and the co-teacher took that as I was possibly going to harm myself.
Sure.
Next thing you know, I get pulled from class. My mom gets called. I get sent to a mental institution here in Atlanta, told by Cobb County that, hey, you're not able to come back to school until you clinically get cleared.
Hmm.
And I went in, got psychologically evaluated, and the person goes, Scott, and to my mom, Miss Bagwill, your son's the farthest thing from suicidal. I do
Mm,
not know why they sent him here. And that just the public school system failed me. They didn't know how to work with someone because I have ADHD. I still struggle
mhm,
with it today,
mm,
hyperactive,
mhm.
focusing, and everything like that. But it was a blessing in disguise looking back on it 20 plus years later now, because it has allowed me to become the man I am today. It helped. I call ADHD, I don't call it a learning disability or difference. I call it my superpower.
I love
ADHD
that.
is a superpower. It's what makes me me. I attribute it also to why I'm able to focus so well on weight loss because so many different things are coming at you at once. It just allows me to focus here, focus there, and yeah.
I'm
So
glad, and that's a good lesson, that has nothing to
yeah.
do with anything really, except that sometimes when we get hit with a something that seems like a real setback in life, it can turn out to
Hmm.
be something that leads to something much better for us. So that's a good lesson in
Yeah.
just in life, right? So before
Yeah.
7th grade, before your father moved, you were living
Yeah.
with your mom and you have a brother,
Yep.
correct?
Yep. I have an older brother, Sedge. Yep. 5 years
Okay.
apart.
So you guys were living with mom, but dad was very active in your world.
Dad was very active in our worlds. He lived nearby. He never missed a Wednesday night visit. He never missed a weekend. He never missed a sporting event. He never missed a play. He was there. Now we had our own stuff, as they hear us talk about on the show, that we worked through. Thankfully, later on in life, even though he wasn't the best dad at times, he always made sure to make like his presence, not when I say make his presence known, he always made sure that no matter what event we're at, that when we looked up from the court or if I looked out from the stage because I did theater, that I would either see him or my mom there.
That's beautiful.
So he and my mom always made sure that we had someone at an event. And even despite whatever they were going through in their personal lives, they always made sure that my brother and I felt supported.
That's beautiful. So what about
So
your weight
yeah.
prior to that 7th grade time frame?
Yeah. I mean, I was always in shape growing up, like getting into seventh grade. I definitely started getting chubby a little bit in middle school. I just think because I wasn't active in sports, I didn't play baseball. I mean, I played rec, I played church basketball, and
Sure.
everything like that. But I got started getting chubby like middle school. I mean, I was always I wouldn't say chubby, husky, because that's the
Okay.
term that they used
Sure.
back then in the early 2000s is
Mhm.
husky. I was
Right.
always in the husky jeans, the husky shorts. I always had the husky belt, the
Mhm.
husky shirt.
Yeah.
Um, and then going into like seventh grade and stuff, like I just that's just who I am, and I think that's maybe attributed to a lot of the kids and everything in middle school in the public school bullying me, making fun of me. I had my couple friends
What were
here
you
and
being
there, but I
bullied about?
definitely
What were you being bullied about
my
in middle school?
size, being different, how I learned, how I read.
Mm.
Because growing up, even though I love to read now, I wasn't the best reader,
Mhm.
and everything like that. But like I wasn't the popular kid. I played 1 year of football in seventh grade, um, but I mean, I got made fun of there because I didn't play a lot. I didn't
Mm.
start, but I still went out to the practices, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was tough. It was tough,
So
definitely.
elementary school, was there bullying? Did you have buddies in
No,
elementary school?
elementary school, I had buddies. I mean, I'm still friends with some of my one of my best friends from honestly preschool that I still talk to. I've
Oh,
known for over
wow.
30 years. Zach, his name's Zach Goad, and I still talk to him. We don't talk. It's the type of friendship where we don't talk often, but
Sure.
when we do talk, we could go 4, 5, 6 months not talking. But when we come back together, meet up for a drink or coffee or something, or just text or on the phone, it's like we just saw each other yesterday. It's like we
Yeah.
never
There's
left.
something magical
And
about those relationships. People just
yeah,
really know who you are and you can be yourself with them.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. But no,
That's
middle
what a
elementary
gift.
school, I was friends, and I played soccer and basketball and stuff. And I had friends over, and I went to parties, and yeah, it was great.
So your dad moved,
Yep.
and did you talk about what that was like for you, or did you just kinda keep it in? Did you talk to your mom or your brother?
I think I talked to people, like I went to some therapy and stuff like that, but I mainly just kept it bottled in. So I mean, one of the things that they see you and I talk about on the show is my relationship with my dad. And I think a lot of the issues we had later on in life was from when he moved away because he wasn't there. Because I needed my dad. I
Mhm.
needed him. And I'm very blessed that he and I, when he passed, were in a really good place. And
For
I
sure.
miss him. I miss him dearly now. I'm actually going up in a couple weeks to see my 90. His parents are still, bless the Lord, still living. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
going up to Rhode
beautiful.
Island to see them the day after Christmas and to spend time with them. And
Good.
but yeah, I digress a little bit, but like we I definitely, growing up, we didn't have the best relationship, even though he was always there. I just think he necessarily at times didn't understand how to raise someone who had the issues I was going through, the hyperactive and stuff like that. But but I say that, but he was still like it's funny. Like normally when you see that type of relationship or a father or a mother with their child like that, you don't see them supportive. You see them kind of disown it. Like I remember when I was in seventh grade, when I did seventh grade the second time, I had a growth plate injury. And I finally went to a hip doctor, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you down to Emory here in Atlanta, and we're gonna operate on it tomorrow." My mom called my dad at like 5, 6 o'clock at night,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Okay, I'll see if I can get there." Next thing you know, my mom wakes up in the morning at 4:30 to get me ready, and my dad's sleeping out in the driveway in his car. My
Oh,
dad
wow.
drove 6 hours through the night after working a full 9 hour day, and he was there
Yeah.
because that's the type of man he was. Even though he had his faults, he had his strengths so much.
Like most of our
And
parents, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some good, some not so good, and some things left to work
Hmm.
on as adults, and, and,
Absolutely.
appreciating what we did get from them as well. So how was your relationship with your mom growing up?
Mom, it's been great. Mom's my rock. She's always been my rock. We have our moments, like we have our arguments here and there, as mother and son do. But I've always felt comfortable to go to her about
That's
anything. Yeah,
beautiful.
when I get in trouble, she disciplines me. I call it the 3 stages of my name. If I hear Scott, I'm good. If I hear Scott Hayes, I'm yeah. But if I hear Scott Hayes Bagwell, I'm screwed, and I better be running out the door away from my mother as fast as I can. Um, and I still, as 33 years old, I still get the Scott Hayes, Scott Hayes Bagwell, get your butt to the house now.
Oh, I think I love your
Um,
mother.
no, yeah, and everybody does. I mean, and that's the thing you see on the show this year is that's the dynamic is she's a straight shooter. She's not
Yeah,
afraid to call me out on my bull crap, and
that's excellent.
they see on the show where we go where I go in for my first weigh in or my first follow up where I fail my first weigh in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing okay. Well, I done some wing. She called me out, and she
You
called
go,
me out
mama.
on the string cheese and everything, and I did walk out. Was that my finest moment? No. Am I proud of how I
You walked
reacted?
out on your mom?
I walked out. I said "f this," and I walked out on my mom and Dr. Proctor, and I walked down the hall and had my moment and hit the wall and was like, meh, meh, meh. I people say I was acting like a man. I don't read the comments because I know who truly supports me. But I have friends like, did you hear this? Did you hear that? But I'm like, that stuff, those comments just fuel my fire
Mhm.
because that just makes me work harder. But I've worked through that over the last year to get to where I'm at now, how I react. I used to look at when mom would come at me and when she made comments, it wasn't mean, it wasn't like mean spirited. I get defensive. I get defensive a lot where sometimes I would snap. But and I thought that I was getting attacked. But lo and behold, she was just trying to support me. My dad was trying to support me. My grandparents, my aunts, uncles, they were just trying to support me. But I looked at it as being attacked. And that's one of the things that you and I have worked on and talked about many, many times over the last year because we've been meeting
Mhm.
now over here. And what people don't know is, yes, you have to meet with Dr. Connie or another bariatric psychologist to get approved, but I didn't have to meet with her. Again, I didn't have to, but I chose to because for me, and we'll get into it, but the mental side of things, like if that's what we had to address. And
Right.
you've seen me at my lows, you've seen me at my highs. Like
So
it's
can I interrupt just
yeah.
a second and ask
Yeah,
you a
go ahead.
question about that defensiveness? And I'm guessing
Hmm.
it was in relation to comments about your weight or your behavior related
Yeah.
to your eating. Was it also in other areas of your life, or were you mostly defensive when people would attempt to give you maybe positive or constructive feedback?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely other areas in my life, but I think a lot of it had to do with looking back on it. And I've had conversations with my mom about this, my brother, my grandparents, my 94 and 92-year-old grandparents. And they're and like looking back, it's all been out of love. It's when they poked at my weight or say, "Oh, hey, I don't think you should sit there, or you should, Scott, you really think?" I'm like, I can eat what I want, or I'm not eating a lot. No, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Yeah,
I would make excuses, and you and I talked about this, and I talked about on the show. I would wear masks. I
right.
would act like I'm okay on the outside, but going back home, coming into my office, like I'd be terrible. I'd be depressed.
Yeah.
It's like I loved it. It's like one of the things my grandmother, I call her Grammy. She's the most, she's amazing. I say that my grandparents are my biggest critics, but they're also my biggest supporters. So whenever I'd go up there, and every one of my family's gotten one at one time, I'd get what we call a Grammy letter.
Oh
A
no.
Grammy letter is a card, a handwritten letter pointing out what you've been doing wrong and that we need to fix it.
Are you serious?
And it would, yes, and it was the best thing ever. Even though I didn't want to hear it, and there are times that I wouldn't talk to normally talk to my grandparents every day or every couple days. There are times I didn't talk to them for a month or two. But now it's like we've always had a good relationship with everyone, but it's now like, and yeah,
Give me an
I
example.
digress. Sorry, yeah.
Give me an example of a Grammy letter.
Oh, I wish I had one. I have them. So I save all my Grammy letters. Um, let's say
So this
this.
was
So
happening
for
oh my gosh, all your
oh
life?
yeah, every visit, all my life.
Okay.
Yeah. And everybody in my family's gotten a Grammy letter at one time or another. There's one time where there was food. So my grandparents live in a nice house in Newport, Rhode Island, and they have like an upstairs and then they have a downstairs. Like they have a full kitchen downstairs, and downstairs in the fridge is when they have big parties. That's where they normally put all the leftover food. Well, I'd find the leftover food and I eat it and not tell anyone. And then I'd get a letter. Hey, Scott, we're really worried about your weight. We saw that you've been eating the food that you weren't supposed to eat. Like, we want to do something to help you change. Like, we need you to change because we want you to be here forever, for as long as we're here, and everything like that.
Okay.
But they go, but please know your grandfather and I call my grandfather Pa. So if people listening hear me say Grammy Pa, that's who I'm referring to. We both love you very much, and she always ends her letters or cards XOXO Grammy.
That's
Um,
hysterical. So you're up there visiting, and rather than talking to you, you get a
oh
Grammy-gram.
no, I get a Grammy Gram. I get a Grammy letter, and I mean I'd still get talked to.
Okay.
Excuse me, and there's definitely been some arguments and stuff, but I look back on all that, at the end of the day, they weren't doing it out of spite. They weren't doing it
Yeah.
because they were mad. They were doing it. And that's what I had to learn over the last year is when people call you out, and this goes not just for food, this goes for alcohol, this goes for
Sure.
drugs, this goes for porn, this goes for anything, gambling. They're doing it with love.
Well,
And for me, yeah, go ahead.
let me just interrupt on that. I think people who love and care about you are doing it out of love, but others may not be. But I want to generalize on
Yeah,
something you said a few minutes ago
yeah,
because I think this is important for listeners to understand is that
yeah.
when you're in the position of somebody saying, "Scott, I care about you. I'm worried about your weight," or, "It concerns me when I see you doing this or with that, and I want you to be around." And
Hmm.
it is coming from love. But when you're in that position where you're feeling, like you said, attacked, it literally feels like an attack
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
I'm guessing there's part of you that knows there's truth being told, but you don't want to acknowledge that, right?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
and then down the road, looking at it from a different vantage point now that you've lost a lot of weight, it's easier to see, yes, I was reactive. I was defensive. I was trying to protect myself emotionally.
Yeah,
And I want
absolutely.
people
And
to hear that because I think that that's true, like you said, with whatever the issue is. And the person in that position, for example, when I was drinking or
mhm,
whatever, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it.
yeah,
So I just want people to understand that even though you may feel like you're not being defensive, if you've got something going on and at some level you know there's a problem related to it, that
yeah.
that there may be some truth to that. And I'll tell you, I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine not too long ago about a troubled area in her life. And because we are both, older and more experienced, and this is where I see you getting to as well. When somebody says something to
Mhm.
you that, ooh, it's a truth, but it hurts still, the healthier you are emotionally, the less reactive you are. You might say that still hurts,
Yes.
but I appreciate, and her words were, I know you're coming to me out of love. And that is a
Yeah.
very
N
healthy kind of interaction.
100%. 100%. And they'll actually see some of that actually in they saw some of that in last night's episode in weeks in episode 7 is they'll see they saw me get approved, they see me get on my liquid diet, and I am hangry on this trip, and Tina makes a comment, I make a comment, and we just go at it, we clash. And at that
Mhm.
point, like I take off my microphone, I toss it on the table. The camera, the crew break the fourth wall. You see the cameras, you hear the producers, everything, and I storm off. Yes, on the show, I'm known as the stormer offer. I do this, but here's the thing though. Normally, I'd storm off. I'd not come back. That is me running away from the situation, and they see in
Sure.
last night's episode that I go, I collect my thoughts, I come back, and I acknowledge the
Beautiful.
fact that I messed up. Normally, I would have
Beautiful.
sat there and let that ruin me. I wouldn't have talked to Tina again. But as they saw in the episode when we went hiking, like we sat there, we ended up having the awesome, healthy banana bread type ice cream. It was fantastic. And then they see us go. They see us. That's the thing I love about the show is we literally we yes Tina and I get introduced in support group, and that's how we met the girls, but they see us literally become friends, like still to this day. Yes, we've
Mhm.
been through crap, we have had our issues, I still get called out on stuff by the girls because they care. But what's different because of the help that I've gotten meeting with you and listening to Dr. Proctor and everything is I know it's coming out of love. I take the feedback in, I accept the feedback. And
Nice.
this is my hope for everyone that is struggling like I did, is that they can accept the feedback and we move on. like on Wednesday, or actually no, yeah, today, 11th. Sorry, it's post date or whatever. Sorry, on the 11th today, I'm getting to see Tina. I'm going with her to celebrate an important milestone in her life. I'm not going to give all the details about it, but like we still hang out. We talk on a daily basis. That's because the girls have helped me realize, and same with you, is when they call me out, it's out of love. Yes, it may
Yeah.
come across as harsh at first, but sometimes for me, like I'm the type of person, like they saw when I walked with Vanessa, I need that tough love. That's like my trainer. I tell my trainer, when we train, yell at me, get in my face, do it. Because that's the type of love that I need. I need that
Right.
tough love.
So
Does that
just
stem a little bit? Yeah.
for our
Go ahead.
listeners, when you say the girls,
Yeah.
not everybody's watched the show. So tell us who you're
Oh,
talking about.
yeah, so I'm talking about the girls from the TV show. They're honestly my best friends now. They got the original three: Megan, Ashley, Vanessa. My new friend who I came on the show with in support group, Tina. They're my ride or die. Like I have my close friends like in my life, but they're now in that circle. When people ask me who my best friends are, I name off my best friends. I'm like Ashley, Megan, Vanessa, and Tina. Yeah, we still have all our stuff we go through, but we're still there for each other. And
Right.
that's the
Right.
blessing that they get to see on the show. They get to see the highs. They get to see Megan, Vanessa, and Ashley fix their relationship. Because trust
Nice.
me, that relationship was broken. Now they still have their issues that they're working through, but like how I see how they're there for each other, it's nice to see that reciprocated now
Sure.
for
So let's
everyone.
go back to when you were husky in middle school, and then
Yep.
what happened with your weight through middle and high school?
So I went into high school. Middle school, I played basketball. I played sports, but I still was big. And then in high school, I started gaining weight. I got up to about 240 pounds at the end of my sophomore year. I ended up going to see a cardiologist, a children's cardiologist, and here at Kennestone Hospital here in Atlanta, just north of Atlanta. And he was like, "You need to lose weight." And he goes, "Plain and simple, you need to lose weight." So my junior year, I went from 240 down to 180 pounds.
Wow,
I
how did
was
you do that?
feeling great. Uh, Sugar Busters, living with my mom, this working out. I went to the Y every day, played sports, changed everything, cut out fast food. Excuse me. Um, and yeah, and just I looked amazing. And then going through senior year, I maintained between 180 and 210,
Nice.
and just played sports. And then when I got to college,
All right, pause. What were friendships like in middle and high school? I know you were picked on in
when
middle
I went to the
school.
cottage school, I was
Mhm.
picked on in public school, but middle school, I mean, I had the bet in high school. I had the best relationships. One of my best friends, got to give him a shout out. We've had our issues, but we're really, really good. Jordan Dubroff, I've known him now 20 years. My buddy Kent. It's like, even though I don't talk to a lot of people I graduated with,
Mhm,
it's funny. Like, I'm still friends with them on Facebook, and I literally have people that will call me like,
mhm.
"Scott, we haven't talked. You're on TV. Proud of you. Great
Wow,
job."
that's
But
awesome.
that has also allowed me to reconnect with a lot of people.
Sure.
Um, but I hung out with friends.
So you
Going
had
to
a
a private.
good social life through high school?
Very much so. Very much so. Did events, went to Hawks games and Braves games, went to concerts. Like I was very active, and yeah, it was great. Very
Okay.
big social life in high school.
So college, did you live at home? I know you went to Kennesaw State, which is close, nearby, or did
No,
you live in the
nope.
dorms?
20 minutes away. I lived in the dorms, and I think
Nice.
honestly that was my downfall.
Mm,
I think that was my downfall because literally, I'm not going to name her name just out of her respect. But I met who at the time I ended up thinking was the love of my life. We dated for 9 months to a year, and we met like the first week of school.
mm.
And yeah, it was great. I thought I had found the one, and I was still in shape. I was still like I started to notice a little bit of weight coming back on, but mean, that's kind of what happens at Kennesaw State. They have an amazing dining hall, all you can eat, and basically you can go unlimited amount of times. Oh, it's like when they saw me coming, they're like, "All right, bring out the mac and cheese," or they would say today, "Bring out the string cheese," or something like that. But but yeah, we broke up. And I just went into depression, and I just
Who broke up with who?
stopped caring. It was kind of mutual. Um, I think looking back, because it's been so long, and I've moved on from that part of my life, but it was it was mutual, somewhat. I think she just needed to see. It was one of those breakups where it's like, "Hey, let's break up. We need space, and if we come back together, we come back together."
Right.
But we never came back together. We still talked here and there, and everything. And if she ever listens to this, I've wished nothing but the best for her and her life and her family and everything like that. But yeah, it's yeah.
So
But
you
then
got
after that,
depressed after the breakup.
I got depressed, and I had bad roommates in college, which the good people, like, we squashed stuff over the years and talked through stuff. I had bad roommates, but
What do you
I
mean
just
bad?
started
What do you
eating.
mean bad? Like you weren't
Just
good
not
friends
nice.
or okay.
No, I mean, we hung out and stuff like that, but we just hung out in different crowds
Okay.
and everything like that. But I just got lazy. I went to class and everything, did my grade, got my good grades, and did my assignments, but just ate and just was lazy.
Did you have
Didn't give
a
a care in the
social
world.
life outside of the girlfriend?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely did have a social life. I ended up I did a lot of MC. A lot of One thing I talked about a little bit on the show is I worked in radio from
That's
2010
fun.
till 2019, basically, and maybe I'll get back in radio one day. You never know. But I was the MC for the women's basketball at Kennesaw State.
Oh, wow.
I did a lot of PA announcing, public address announcing. I did a lot of
Very
radio
cool.
stuff, and I had my friends, and I played tennis in college, like rec tennis, and I had my group, I had my friend group and everything like
Okay.
that. But that's when I started putting on the masks and starting to act like everything was okay, but it
Mhm.
wasn't. So
Mhm.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
started gaining weight. Did you gain weight at a rapid pace?
yeah. I went from, I think when I stepped into college, I was like 180, 190. And when I graduated, and that was in August of 2010. And
Okay.
when I graduated KSU with, I let people know, two bachelor degrees. Um,
Congratulations on
um,
both.
Thank you. A dual degree. I graduated December 2014 at 470 pounds.
Wow. Okay, so that was a big gain. Hmm.
Yeah, almost 300 pounds in a little over 4 years.
Wow. Okay. So were you in therapy? Did you know you were
Nope.
depressed?
No therapy. I mean, I knew I was upset, but I didn't really start thinking I was depressed or realizing that I was depressed until a couple years later.
Did anybody say anything to you about your rapid weight gain, like your mother or
They tried, but I wouldn't listen.
okay.
That's when the defensiveness started getting happening, where I didn't care.
So it sounds like you were
Um,
angry and maybe that
I was
breakup.
angry looking back on it. I wasn't angry at her or anyone else. I'm looking back on it. I should have been angry at myself.
Well,
And it's
okay, mark that down for a future session, okay? Because
yeah.
something went on there,
Uh
dude.
oh.
You were
Yeah.
eating at all the emotions, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay. So you got
yeah.
out of college, a
Hmm.
much heavier person, now wearing some masks, pretending all was
Yeah.
well. And what did you do when you graduated?
When I graduated, I actually went straight out to Utah. I went out to a weight loss retreat in Utah.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
if I told you this. I don't know if I have.
I don't
I went
think
out to a
so.
weight loss retreat, spent 6 months, went down from 470 to 310 pounds, and thought my life was great. Thought
Sure.
everything was great, but I never addressed the mental side. That's where I'm an advocate now more than ever is the mental side of things. And
We'll
that's why
talk about that.
I'm blessed to partner. That's why I'm blessed, and we'll get into that. I'm blessed to be a part of the BariAftercare team and hopping on board with you and your team because mental health is so important to me. Lost, Unfortunately, I've lost people with struggle with mental health who had wrecked their lives. But when I got done, and basically I did 3 months, beginning of 2015, January to March, came home, went back out September to December of 2015. Thought was great. Everything's great, but the mental side of things I didn't really address. And from 2016
Curious,
till
did
when
they
I
have a
started,
mental health component to that
no,
program that you okay.
they
Can I
had
just
like
say that
classes and
blows
stuff
me
like that.
away? That blows me away, right?
And
They're missing
that program is no longer around.
oh, all the programs who
But
miss
I
out on the mental health piece are missing out.
are gone. Yeah. And I still talk to a lot of I still talk to a couple of my trainers, my favorite Alana, Sarah, Shanley. I think, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher her name, whatever. I actually went out there for her wedding.
Mm.
That was awesome. That was my first Mormon wedding. That was really interesting. I met all like 12 of her brothers and sisters. No, it was great. It was great. It was great. I digress. But no, yeah,
So the program was eat less, move more.
yep, we worked out 5, 6 hours a day every day, 6 days a week.
Yeah, so that's not something that a person
Nope.
can sustain, and we didn't address
Wasted,
any of the mental health
wasted,
issues. Now, when did your
nope,
father
wasted way
pass?
too
I
much
know
money
that
on
your
that.
father passed at some point.
I knew you were going to ask me about this. So I'm going to try not to get emotional. So what they've heard me talk about on the show, actually this past Friday, um, was actually, oh wow, was actually the 4 year anniversary of my dad's passing. He passed away at 11:43 a.m. on December 6th, 2020. Um, and this is another topic probably for another episode. But how to deal with death. But it and they hear me talk about it last night's episode about the promise that I made with dad. Um,
Which was
and I'm gonna jump back a couple months.
sure.
So when we found out my dad had cancer, my dad and I got in an argument. I literally, the day I found out, I wrote him off. I was done. I wasn't going to help. I told my family, I go, you guys can write me off, write me out of the will, whatever you want to do. I am done.
What
Like,
was behind that reaction?
just still the nitpicking, coming back from childhood, trying to better myself. Whenever I would try to talk to him about the issues we had, he wouldn't want to talk about them.
Mm,
Um, and everything. But I told him, I go, I'm done. I go, my grandparents, I'm done. They try to call me. My brother tried it. Like, I'm done. So I went to bed that night. I woke up, and what I'm about to say, I can only attest to the power of God. And I'm a
mm.
firm believer in God. And whoever's listening or watching this, whatever you believe in, whoever you pray to, do it. If you don't pray, if you don't believe, that is you. And I support you. But I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. It was in September of 2020. Um, the house was cold, but I woke up in a sweat. Like I was drenched. Like you would look at the bed and think someone had peed the bed.
Wow.
Um, but I couldn't explain it. I wasn't. I thought I was sick. I went and took my temperature. I didn't have a fever. I was at 97, but I
Mm,
was in a sweat. Like it was
mm,
funny. It was 97, but my body was hot. It was like it was on fire. So I get in my car. I go to this local church over here in East Cobb, and I just sit there and I pray and I play my favorite song that I actually sang at my dad's funeral, "You Raised Me Up" by Josh Groban. Um,
mm.
and I felt a voice saying, "Scott, forgive, and he will forgive you in due time, and go
Wow.
help your dad." And I went and helped him, and I called my aunt
Wow.
that morning, called my grandparents. I'm like, I'm in. I go, whatever you need, appointments, anything like that. Because at the time I just moved home. I wasn't working. I was like, I am in whatever you want. I use the term I'm Gucci. I'm good to go. Whatever you need, I am good. And from that moment on, I was there helping take care of my dad. And
Good.
then fast forward to when we found out, we brought him home. Um, and we found out he only had 2 weeks to live, 2, 3 weeks to live.
Wow.
My aunt came down. My dad's sister Betsy, love her. Did have her and her husband Andy and my cousins Chris and Teddy. I've definitely gotten closer to them since my dad's death. She came down with an open-ended ticket. She goes, "I'm here as long as you guys need me." And then on Thanksgiving, when he started having the conversations with people saying goodbye, he goes, "Scott, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "Okay, this is it." Like I didn't know what to expect, like because I
Right.
was there when he was saying goodbye, and he goes, "I am sorry for not being a good father to you. I am
Oh my
sorry
goodness.
for anything I have ever done to you." And I just burst into tears. My aunt starts tearing up. The nurse who's not supposed to be listening from upstairs, she starts tearing up.
How bad?
Um, and just out of respect to my dad and my family, I'm not going to go into details about
Sure, sure,
the
sure.
conversation and everything.
That's a gift,
But
though. What a gift he gave you.
yeah, and
For real.
even though the last 2 weeks and that last 2 months is he passed as my best friend, and then my grandparents came down to say their goodbyes, and then on December 6th, I'm actually getting ready to get a tattoo. I'm going to get on my wrist in Roman numerals the day he died, and I'm going to get a halo or angel wings intertwined in it because that's the day my dad became my guardian angel.
Oh, that's
And on
beautiful.
that conversation, and I talk about it in last night's episode, he made me make him a promise. He goes, "I want you to finally lose weight, get healthy, and live the life that you're meant to be living."
Oh my
And
gosh.
the team on the show and everything, they made fun of me because when we do interviews and stuff, I'd always say, "Live the life you meant to be living, live the life." And and I thought they'd make like a B-roll of me just saying that constantly, like literally every interview. My producers would be like, "Scott, come on now, like you can't say that every interview." But that just gave me the fire,
It's your
and obviously the
mantra.
next, it's my mantra: live the life that you're meant to be living.
It's probably the name of your
And
book, dude.
yeah, live the life. Oh, geez, book time. But no, yeah, just fast forward just to a lot of stuff and just dealing with the emotions, and then we come to 2023, and I get the
Wait, I'm gonna
blessing
back you
of a
up, Scott.
lifetime.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna back you up.
back me up.
Okay, so what happened
Yeah.
between the weight loss in Utah and when your dad got sick? Did you work? Did you use those 2 degrees? What happened with
No,
your
no, I
weight?
worked. No, I worked. I definitely went into radio. Had different odd jobs and stuff like that. But then in 2019, I moved down to Brunswick, Georgia, and got a great job in radio. What stopped my start, and then obviously COVID hit, and I'm still great friends with the people down there, with my old boss and everything. COVID hit, and I was the lowest man on the totem pole,
What was
so
your weight
I
during
got laid
those
off.
years? What was your weight after
Gaining,
just steadily
is
gaining?
gaining,
Af
steadily gaining.
After your Utah stuff, you just
Yeah,
went back and continued to gain?
absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So you were heavy when your father passed.
Yeah, I was probably in the mid to high 400s by that point.
Okay, so when he died and you made that promise to him, is that
Hmm.
what led to did you continue to gain? How did you deal with the
Yeah,
grief?
I went into I grief aided. I grief ate. I ate my feelings.
Okay, so
I
you
go to
gained
wing
weight.
night. I had Now preface this. When I was at my heaviest, I still would eat 20, 30 wings. There are definitely times where I ate 60 at times, as you see on the show, 60, 70, 80 at times, and everything like that. But yeah, yeah, sorry,
Is
it's emotional.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
COVID hits, you move home, and
Hmm.
then what happened? And how did you even know about the show? And how did you choose to interview for that and apply for it and however that came about?
Yeah, how I did that is so fast forward to March of 2023. I had no I'm going into this, I had no idea about Dr. Proctor. I mean I heard of him, but I had no idea about the show. No idea. Um and I had made a couple appointments, canceled them, and then literally the day before my birthday, 32nd birthday, I went in and
Wait,
just
went
had a
in
consult.
where? You went in
So
where?
May of 23, I went into Beltline Health here in Atlanta. That they've saved my life, as they'll see, and as they saw that, and we'll
What
talk about in a
made you
little bit.
go? But what made you go to Beltline Health seeking weight loss or
I
weight loss
needed a
surgery?
change. Like I had tried everything else. I tried everything else, and
What were your thoughts about
tried
what
everything.
surgery would do for you at that time?
I was looking at it as a last resort, meaning I've tried everything else, um, but I went in not knowing what I needed to do, but someone recommended Dr. Proctor, and they go, "Hey, go see him. He's a great person." I'm like, "Okay." So I went in, chatted with him, told him my story. That's the thing I love about Dr. Proctor is when I first met him, he and his team they wanted to know my story. So
Mhm.
how people see Dr. Proctor on the show, that is exactly how he is in real life. Like if
He's
I
a
wanted to
great
message him right
human.
now, I could. He gives
Mhm,
very good access to
mhm.
him, to us.
Yep.
He's as you know, you've met Dr. Proctor. He's an amazing. You've worked with him and his team for many years. Um, so he was like, "Hey, there's this opportunity," um, and he goes, "I don't know what it looks like, but I'm going to send you your information." And I'm like, "Okay."
Interesting.
So fast forward a couple months, I get emails happen, and this and that happens. I have phone calls, and one thing leads to another. One blessing opens up another blessing, opens up this door, opens up that door. And next thing you know, I have cameras at my house, documenting my life, ready hell or high water, going to inspire America and inspire the
I
world.
love it.
And
How
here
much
I
did
am
how
a
much did
year
you
later.
weigh when you went to see Dr. Proctor?
So when I went to see Dr. Proctor, when we started filming, I weighed in at 596 pounds.
Mm.
That was my highest. Even though I know I'm allowed to say where I'm at now, I'm not going to because I want to keep a little mystery. But I'll say this at the end of the show, as they'll see next week, I got approved for surgery. I had surgery. I got down to 481 pounds
Before
without
surgery?
giving where I'm at before. No, no, no. So when I went into surgery, as they'll see on the show, I lost 15 pounds the first 2 months. He gave me a goal of 30 pounds to lose. I only lost 15. Um, and then he gave me one more chance. I knocked that goal out, ended up losing 25 more pounds,
Nice.
got down to 556. And then when I went into surgery, and they'll see, I lost another 30 pounds or 20 pounds, 25 pounds, got down to 531.
Good.
So I lost a total of 65 pounds prior to surgery.
Nice.
And then up until the end of the show, I got down to 481. And I am now about to hit some major milestones. I am the happiest, the healthiest that I've ever felt. I'll say this: I'm over the 200-pound mark right now. I'm not going to say exactly where I am, but I'm well over the 200-pound lost mark, and everything. But I'm the happiest, I'm the healthiest that I've ever been. Mentally, I'm the strongest. I handle my emotions a lot better now, versus how they see on the show, where I walk out. I'm an emotional guy, and also I want to preface this: when I cry, I don't cry tears. I dry cry a lot.
Yeah, I
So,
understand that.
excuse me. That is a real thing for anybody listening. But this show has been a blessing because the cool thing I like about the show is they showcased the support group aspect of Dr. Proctor's bariatric program. Those women, Seneca, Kim, everyone, and Angela, everyone in there that I've met, the girls, we still talk. Like, I'm actually going on Saturday. So if anybody's listening and you're in Atlanta, come to Beltline on Saturday. They're having an in-person support group. I'm going to be there.
Awesome.
Not just to be there. People are like, oh, you go. My friends like, Joe, you're going to go there because of this night. No, I'm going because I still want. I still need the support. I
Listen,
still.
you're
I'm
just
still a normal. Yeah,
you're still in the honeymoon
I'm
phase.
normal.
You're
Yep.
still in the honeymoon phase, right? Where
Yeah.
that weight is rapidly falling off. And
Yeah.
I will say, the thing that I have been most impressed by with you, Scott, is
Yeah.
you are doing the work. So people sometimes, and I don't know what you thought going into the surgery, think the surgery is going to be the be all and end all. And now with a lot of
Nope.
people using the GLP-1s, they think I'll take the meds and that's
Yep.
going to be it. But without an aftercare program, without follow up with your mental, physical, nutritional health, without changing your lifestyle, it's only a matter of time
Yep.
before a person regains their weight. And
Yeah.
because I have been very familiar with your journey from before you had the surgery, I have got to
Yeah.
say that you are doing what I wish and pray everybody would do after surgery. You
Yeah.
are Tell us about your exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll say this real quick. I just want to add about Dr. Proctor and his team at Beltline is they literally care. It's like, yeah, there's the show, everything like that. And some people may watch it and think, oh, yeah, he's on the show. He just gets it. No, and you can attest to this, Dr. Connie. I had to meet with you. You had to. We went over that big question thing. I had to meet with
Right.
dietitians. I had to meet my. I had to get I had to get approval from the cardiologist. What they'll see next week is Dr. Proctor almost canceled my surgery the day of because I get in there and I start having a massive anxiety attack and my blood pressure skyrockets.
Mm.
He literally had to get on the phone and hunt down my cardiologist at Wellstar here in Atlanta. He's like, make sure everything. But like, I digress. But as I was
Well,
saying, is the team, everyone,
let me digress
yeah,
with you for just a minute about Beltline
yeah,
because I hold them in the highest esteem, and I'll tell you what they do that very few other programs in the country do, and
yeah,
every program has the opportunity. When I first met with Dr. Proctor, he said, "I want you to build me an aftercare program." I already had one in place, so
I didn't know. I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So I had BariAftercare. I'd been doing this for 20 years and putting all the components together, and he purchases the entire Barry Aftercare program and lets everybody who has surgery through Beltline be part of this aftercare
Yeah,
program. And the aftercare program, as you know, is it's exercise, it's daily videos, it's daily education,
recipes.
recipes, cooking videos, workout videos, yoga videos. People like you coming on to say every morning, here's something I learned and I want to share with people. So it's a 24/7 program of education and information from people like you who have had surgery and are really working the surgery and
Yeah,
led by my 20 years in the bariatric field as a psychologist. So Dr. Proctor
yeah,
purchases that and everybody who goes through
that's
this
amazing.
program has access to that. And
Gets
there's
it for
only
free. Yeah,
a handful of
yeah,
other amazing programs like his in the country
yeah,
who utilize the Barry Aftercare program. So if you're a
yeah,
listener, take that information to your program because they could purchase this for every one of their people. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
and Scott, I want you to talk about all the things that you're doing, your exercise, your
yeah.
mental health, your
Absolutely.
nutrition.
Yeah.
So go ahead. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that I needed, I'm a man of faith. So, the first thing I had to address is get back in church. But we'll start the mental side of things. I had my first appointment, and literally since then, I meet with you once a month. And your assistant called me today, and I already got next month's scheduled. So, I meet with you once a month. Even though because I haven't been able to talk about it publicly, now I can. I've been part of the Barry Aftercare program in the background for the last 6 months or so.
And we're getting
So
ready
I'm
to do
looking
a
forward
fun,
to.
fun thing, aren't we? With healthy
Oh
macaroni and
yes, we
cheese, you
are.
and me.
Healthy macaroni and cheese. Yep. I'm in the gym. I'm blessed by an amazing gym here in Cherokee County, One Life Fitness. Been working out there since November. And I do water aerobics 5, 6 days a week. Now I haven't done it the last 4 days because I'm recovering from a little bit of a cold. But I'm in the gym 5, 6 days a week. I'm lifting weights. I'm walking. I'm playing tennis. I'm playing basketball. One of the driving factors that I talk about, one of my reasons why is that I did this is my nephew Caleb. And I'll show a picture of him real quick. That's my nephew Caleb and his girlfriend.
Oh, precious.
And he would always ask me, he plays baseball. He'd always have to, hey, come throw the ball, come do this, come do that. And I couldn't. And then I noticed he had stopped asking me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I go to my brother Sedge, I go, hell no. I go, I can't do this anymore. And I was blessed by this amazing opportunity with a show. And now I still go out there and throw the ball with him. Now I don't do it a lot because he throws really hard. He's a really damn good baseball player. Um, but I'm in the gym. He calls me and wants to go to the gym with me now,
Mm,
and everything like that. But
that is a
it's
beautiful gift.
yeah, and the show is a blessing because at the end of the day, what I want people listening who may read this to realize is I'm a real person. The girls are all real people. We have our lives that, yes, it just happens to be played out on national TV in front of millions of people. But the reason I signed on to do that is because I had always said, if I have one person, I told you this, if I have one person that messages me on Instagram or Facebook or stops me in public, which has happened, which is kind of weird but cool, and say, you've inspired me to make a change,
Hmm.
that makes everything worth it. That makes me willing to put everything out there on national TV worth it. That makes me okay with people making comments. And people ask if I read comment stuff. No, I stay off of Reddit. I stay off the post because I'll say this: I stay off them because one, um, so sorry. Okay, cool. Sorry. I stay off the post because I don't read them as I mean because I'm in a really good place mentally.
Right,
And I mean, I may one day go back and read them, but that's just people talking about the show.
right.
That's just fuel to our fire.
So
But I'll
where are
say
you
this:
headed?
people, yeah, where
Where are
am I
you headed?
headed?
What is it you want to do as a
Um,
result of your journey and your experience? I know.
I want to inspire the world. We talk about I want to inspire the world. I want to help people, whether that's getting my personal training certification, whether that's going around the country with you or going to conferences and talking. I know we don't can't reveal all the details yet, but I may be popping up at a certain bariatric psychologist retreat later in 2025, maybe. You never know who may pop up. I want to help Dr. Proctor. I want to give back and help give people the opportunity that I had. Let people know it's okay to ask for help. So
Awesome.
many people, and I've lost, I've lost many friends to mental health, and I always wonder if they had just reached out and asked for help.
Yes.
I tell people is message me. Like I like if you want to get a hold of me, message me on Instagram, shoot me a message on Facebook.
Well, how can people reach
Um,
you on those
yeah.
social you say?
I'll be honest. I keep Facebook private. That's
Okay.
just because that's my private space. I like to keep
Sure.
Facebook private. Um, but if people want to reach out to me on Instagram, it's at Scott underscore 1K best friends. I'm very open in public there. I post my travels. I've been on a couple cruise. I've already been back on a couple cruises,
That's
and I actually
awesome.
lost weight on the cruises.
Yeah,
I
well,
actually
that's
lost
good.
weight on the cruises.
Hey, I go on
Um,
cruises and I think they're super healthy. I eat
oh
super
yeah.
healthy food and I go to that gym. They have the best gyms in the world.
Oh my gosh. Hallelujah. the cruise ship I was just on had a freaking stair climber. I'm doing the stair climber now. What?
Well, here's the bottom line,
What?
Scott. You are
Yeah.
doing what it takes to be long-term successful. And that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's the effort, it's the attitude, it's the enthusiasm. And I love that you want to share with others because, you know,
Yeah.
it there's nothing like knowing or seeing somebody who has done what you're doing to
Yeah.
inspire and encourage. And so you're
Yeah.
being so open about your journey is just a gift and a blessing
Yeah.
to many. And I am so
Yeah.
grateful to have you in Aftercare and on the
Yeah.
podcast today. And I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to our many concoctions of healthy
Mac and
macaroni and
yes.
cheese coming up in
So I'll
2025.
oh yeah. I'll say this real quick. So I want to address this because I know there's probably a lot of people who don't watch the show, but who there's also a lot of people who do watch the show. So I've gotten a lot of messages asking, "Are we coming back for a season 4?"
Mm.
I am here today to say we don't know. We don't know.
That's the world of
Um,
television. We don't know.
we don't know. And when I do find out, you guys will not be the first ones to know. You'll find out as everybody else does. Because as you know, we got to keep certain things secret. But as of right now, we don't know just yet.
So the
Um,
final day of
but
this season is the 11th, right?
on
December
Tuesday,
the
nope,
11th
nope, nope, no.
or the 18th.
The finale. So everybody tune in
18th.
because they'll get to see my surgery. They'll get to see everything. They'll get to see the ending of the trip. They'll get to see how I end up. But it's December 17th, 10/9 Central on TLC, streaming on HBO Max the next day, and you can watch it on demand and everything. But it's been a blessing because if it wasn't for the show, I wouldn't have met you. I'm very blessed by you and your team
Well, we're
and the
grateful that you're
BariAftercare
part of
program. And
Bariatric.
feel free to ask me questions and put out there, y'all. Comment on here, shoot Dr. Connie an email message, shoot me a message. What you guys want me to talk about? Because I'm sure there's plenty other things many other possible podcast episodes we could do.
Let's do it. Yeah.
But let us know what you want to hear. Maybe we'll get the girls on. We'll get Tina, Vanessa, Ashley, and
Oh,
Megan.
that would be a
Maybe we'll
fun
pop on
episode, wouldn't it?
and oh yeah. But I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Connie, for just having me on. Thank you to the Bear Aftercare team and I'm just blessed by this journey, and I'm not going to let it squander. And
I know you will
we're going to
not.
see what happens in this world, and
So
you guys will have to stay tuned to see what happens with me and where I'm at now on my journey.
So tune in, everybody. The show is Thousand Pound Best Friends. It is on TLC, and I'm sure that the season will run again, and we'll have to wait and find out if there's going to be another season. And in the
We don't
meantime,
know.
Scott, if people are interested in the full Berry Aftercare program, it's
Yes,
www.bariaftercare.com. So we would love to have you as part of that
yes.
program. And Scott, we'll have you on the podcast again, and maybe we'll have the girls join you. That would be a okay. Everybody
That
quit
will be
talking
a
at one time.
hoot. Yes, that will be a hoot. And
All
I'll
right.
say this: no more string cheese. No more string cheese.
You have to be a
So
watcher of the show to know what that one means.
to know what I mean.
That's right.
Thanks,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Connie,
Scott, and I'll
so
talk to you
much.
soon. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. Spread this episode so more people can get to know Scott and the girls from the show.
Yes.
And again, comment, let us know
Yes.
what you'd like to see and hear more
Yes.
of. All right. Thanks again, Scott, and I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All
Happy
right.
holidays, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.